Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Head 3, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Now, if you're new to this channel, I have other channels. Obviously, this is the third version of it. I've done other videos on WFAN and the insanity that goes on there. Usually the crazy stuff they talk about. But keep in mind, this is a radio station. And radio stations and radio people, they are cutthroat. And they will get rid of everybody that's in their way just so they can get a little piece of airtime. And that has happened at WFAN. Now, I have WFAN pegged for a long time. I've been doing videos on that for 5 years, but in particular the last 2.5 years. I have the Baseball Head 2, which has a whole playlist. I'll put the link into the channel, and you can see all the playlists of all these videos I've done on WFAN about the New York Mets, their attitude. I have so many channels. I also have the Football Hut, which is a Giants-centric channel. It's a complete disaster, just like the New York Giants. But I have plenty of videos on there, how rude they are there. And really the focus of the videos have been on Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, who I have nicknames for. Most of these guys have nicknames. They're all pretty amusing. I think they're pretty accurate. Sal Licata is Spaz Licata. And, of course, Brandon Tierney's the Coconut Head. But I feel bad for them greatly. Now, I would mention I'll have other videos on Baseball Hut 2 about Keith Hernandez at WFAN saying something crazy about the Mets. And then I have the Football Hut, which I'll talk about one of the employees called Banks, talking about Abdul Carter, one of the players for the Giants. But I feel bad today for Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata because they basically lost their job. I feel bad for them. I don't know what's going to happen to both of them. I sort of made fun of them back in the summer, saying that at least one of them was in trouble. But now it seems like both of them are in trouble in terms of losing their job. They're not going to be in the mid-morning anymore. That was a fairly successful show. I don't know what the ratings were for the show. It's a very strange time slot. It's not in the morning. It's not the afternoon. So you're always vulnerable to getting cut. And Sal Licata in particular was not. He was the low man on the totem pole. I thought he was going to be in trouble, but it turns out Brandon Tierney's also going with them. I would ask and mention a couple of things. First of all, they have an opening with the night show because there's no night host now. Because Keith McPherson cut and run and quit that show for whatever reason. Nobody knows the true reason why he left last week. So he's not there anymore. So they have an opening. But obviously, with Sal Licata in particular, he might not be able to do it because he has his show on SNY where he talks to all these purple-haired freaks there, and they all sort of pat him. I feel bad for him because they all sort of talk down to him on that network, and now I've made quite a bit of light on him for the last 2 years, but I feel really, really bad. I mean, I really do. Now, I would mention I'll share this video with the Baseball Hut and the Baseball Hut 2 so people can come and watch. But we have Craig Carton, who is the former, and now it's going to be the new afternoon show again. This is a guy that's got more 9 lives than a cat. But this is radio. They don't care. As long as you don't murder somebody, even if you're in jail, they'll bring you back if you get some ratings. Now I would mention that if Craig Carton starts doing goofy shit, your host is going to really, laugh at it. I mean, talk about it. But here we have him awful announcing. Now, I'd mentioned, I'd get to the video. All right. Headline, Craig Carton reportedly returns to WFAN afternoon drive. Craig Carton is finalizing the deal to become the station's afternoon drive host beginning next year. But, now not only does this affect the midday show, but also the current afternoon show of Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber. When Craig Carton lost his FS1 show, there was immediate speculation about whether he will return to WFAN, and that speculation is reportedly coming to fruition. According Andrew Marchand at The Athletic, Carton is finalizing the deal to become the station's afternoon drive host beginning next year. Carton's third tenure with WFAN is expected to push current afternoon drive host Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber. A little typo. It's Tiki Roberts. I didn't know Evan and Tiki were married. I thought that was more the morning show. To middays. Additionally, current midday hosts Brandon Tierney and Sally Carter are expected to be cut. You're cut, and you're cut from WFAN's weekday lineup, according to Marchand. Tierney and Licata were on WFAN when Marchand broke the news. So obviously they weren't told. I don't know if they were told. They probably weren't told. But this is how disruptive. And I talked about this back a few months ago during the summer when Carton lost his Fox show, was that he was going to stab somebody in the back. I thought he was going to stab somebody in the back. He turned out to stab two people in the back. He stabbed Sally Carter and Brandon Tierney. Now, I will have other videos on this whole situation just to give you a rundown back in July when all this stuff happened. And of course, Sal tried to be a tough guy, but I don't think he's tough. I don't think he's feeling too tough today. I really hope he lands on his feet. I don't know. The reported lineup changes coming after Licata said he wasn't worried about the prospect of Carton returning to WFAN several months ago, adding, "You're not taking my spot." Less than 6 months later, Carton appears to be taking not only his spot, but Tierney's spot. And not only that, Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber. It's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you. That is great. I wonder if they stab people in the back. When you talk about stabbing people in the back, he was in prison, you know. Craig Carton was in prison, I guess for fraud. And I wonder if he used a shiv to stab them all in the back. 4 holes and 4 backs. Carton's return to WFAN 5 years ago was considered a successful one, rebuilding the station's afternoon time slot into a ratings winner with Evan Roberts, but Craig Carton opted to leave WFAN to focus on his FS1 show. And after several versions of Carton in mornings on FS1 were unable to gain traction, he was part of sweeping lineup cuts at the network last summer. So basically, Fox told him, get the fuck out of here. Take your microphone and get lost. Since losing his Fox show, the former and seemingly future WFAN host has been working on a daily podcast with Tyrone Johnson. Who? Exactly. The Craig Carton Show through Fox Sports and Red Seed Ventures. Carton recently shared metrics and said the show's growth was beyond anything. It was so beyond anything. He said, I'm going to go back to the van. But regardless of how well his daily podcast was doing, Carton was always going to be interested in returning to his radio roots if WFAN came with an offer. The interest was expected to be mutual, with Odyssey executive Chris Olivero still at the helm. Olivero was instrumental in bringing Carton back to WFAN when he was released from prison 5 years ago. The hurdle with Carton remaining to WFAN this time appeared to be the lack of an opening. Not a problem. And unfortunately for Tierney and Licata, they will reportedly be WFAN's path to making an opening for him. Oh, isn't that great? So, in other words, Tierney and Licata are in the shower, and of course, Carton found his opening or openings, as it turned out. Let me tell you something. There's gonna be a lot of jail jokes with this guy, a lot of prison jokes. WFAN won't seek to pair Craig Carton with Roberts again this time around, with Marchand reporting current overnight host Chris McMonagle, a.k.a. the Psycho Killer. You see pictures of him. He looks like an axe murderer. All in Fun is the leading candidate to join the new afternoon show. McMonagle was a producer for WFAN's Mike Francesa, Carton and Roberts before getting the overnight gig. Boy, Carton now, he went from Boomer Esiason to Evan Robertson now to the Psycho Killer. Boy, oh boy. But again, I was going through Social Blade, which is a site that, that you're able to, follow different accounts online, different YouTube channels, Twitter accounts, And it just gives you an idea where the audience is. WFAN has 93,000 subscribers on YouTube. Okay? As far as I remember, they had about 50 a few months ago. So they've been simulcasting that morning show, that mid-morning show with Licata and Tierney for a few months. They also post all kinds of different short videos of about a minute or less, or a little more than that. So all the sort of work that Licata and Tierney have done to help build their social media account on YouTube, and this is how they treat them. Just, it's disgusting, but that's the radio. That's the radio business, folks. People can come in and they'll stab you in the back. I said Craig Carton was gonna use a shiv. You know what a shiv is? That's something you make in the jails, the prisons. It's a knife. So he basically shivved them in the shower. 4 people in the shower. And I wonder what the fate of the SNY show is of Evan and Tiki. Well, no problem there. Craig Carton will have the Psycho Killer hour, 2 hours before the Met game. Well, isn't that great? That's probably the next thing that's going to be another domino to fall. But this is the insanity you get at a radio station that is insane. I mean, you got insane people running it. You got George Soros, who's their boss of all people. This guy should be in a prison. And meanwhile, you got, speaking of which, Craig Carton coming back from the prison, for the fraud and the gambling and everything else. But don't worry, he's going to put on a great show. And this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny